Here, I am joined by Vegas headliner Mike Hammer. He is joining us today from beautiful Las Vegas. I've got my Vegas shirt on. How we doing, Mike?
Ex-Vegas headliner, buddy.
Oh, whatever. You are still. God,
There's no shows.
I know it's freaking weird out there, huh? It's strange times.
Let's redo the intro.
Okay, what should we say?
And we're joined by the former headliner. No, we're doing good. Good weather out here, so that's nice. Obviously, you live here, you know.
It has been
So
nice. It has been nice. Yeah.
great. It's 70 something degrees. So
Yep.
not hot enough to kill the virus,
God, this is true. This is very true.
but we're
Hopefully,
good.
yes, yes. Well, thank you for doing this, man. I know normally you're way too busy to be doing stuff like this, so I appreciate you taking the time to hang out for a little bit and answer some questions and talk about what it is that you do. So, for those that don't know, Mike Hammer, who are you? Why don't we get to know you a little bit here before we jump into some of the questions we got live here coming in?
Absolutely. I'm a former headliner here in Las Vegas. Now, I'll tell you something. It's pretty interesting because I'm just fixing something here. I've been doing a show out here for over 10 years and downtown Las Vegas at the Four Queens Hotel. But I originally started out back in Chicago. I used to do, like a lot of other entertainers, magicians, private parties. I did close-up magic, a lot of that, restaurant work. And then I did corporate work. Then I did a team show called Spike and Hammer. I did that for another about 10 years. Sounds like I'm 80, doesn't it? And then, so I went from that and wound up doing the show.
All right, cool. We're already getting some questions popping in here, so why don't we go ahead and grab some of these live questions that we got here. Mark Wybrow over on the Facebook says, Mike, who was the magician and what was the trick that got you hooked into magic to start your awesome career? So that's a good way to get to know you too. How did this all start for you with the whole magic thing?
Well, I know it's about magic, but I used to watch comedians first. But
Cool.
you know what? I do remember. So years ago, there was a guy by the name of Marshall Brodeen, and
Yep.
a lot of you guys know him. TV magic cards. So I think we only had like five TV stations at the time. This was before cable. And so basically, he did the what was it? The invisible deck, or not the invisible deck, but it was a deck that had blank cards. So he'd go through, show all the cards blank, then the cards would turn into, one card would show up, and then all the cards would be, have faces on them. So and backs. Poorly described right now, but yeah, Marshall Brodeen was like one of the first guys on Magic, and then of course we watched Doug Henning back in the day. So Doug Henning, big huge fan of Doug Henning. So that's how I got started.
Nice. Right on.
I just saw John Shackelford up there. Hey John, how you doing, pal?
Yeah, he's out
I
here. We
know
got
some of these guys.
yeah, it's cool. We got a ton of people out here watching from Malaysia. We got Dave out here in Malaysia. Wow, that's pretty rad. Very cool. And Ace
There's
Cunning's
the
digging on
market.
the promo reel. Ace is talking about the promo reel, which is an entertainer. Those are very very important to have to help promote the show that you do and help to get the word out. So yeah, dig it.
So is having the name Ace if you're a magician.
This is
Good
true too.
call. Good call.
This is very true. Actually, here's a question that kind of goes from the beginning of what you were just talking about, how you got started. What made you shift more towards the comedy magic side of things? Because I know you did say you studied comedy as well, but what made you look at magic from
Well,
that side of things?
I think it was always, I just always had I was always a little bit sarcastic. I always had a dry sense of humor.
Not you.
And
Okay.
I would be working, of course, and I would be working family shows, but there were many times where the families would leave you with these kids and just sit in a room. You're just there to be a babysitter. So, they would be unruly a lot of times. And then I was younger too. I was only 13 years old doing private parties for people not too much younger than me. So sometimes they try to, hey, Brett, they try to, test you. And so I just started using comedy on them. And I actually got even with the parents because it's in the Chicago area. So a lot of times they would have the kids take off their shoes to come in, into the house. And so one time I remember this one party that it was raining outside. They had all the kids take their shoes off. Then they threw me in the basement with the kids. So to get even with the parents, I told all the kids, hey guys, I'm not starting this show until you all put your shoes on. So go upstairs, get your shoes, put them on and come down. So I knew the mom would come down and follow what are these kids doing? So they're all walking down with their shoes, and the parents come by. They're like, "What's going on?" And I go, "Oh, I just thought maybe you wanted to watch the show too." So now the parents had to kind of watch and sit in with the kids. But I started playing to the adults, is what mainly did. So I think that's where the comedy came in first initially.
Cool.
Did that answer any question,
Yeah,
or
man.
too
Yeah,
long of a
you're
question?
doing great, man. We
Too long of an
appreciate
answer.
you. And Daniel Ricks out here on Facebook says, speaking of appreciating things, he's digging on the shirt that you're wearing. He's digging on that. We were talking about that before this. Yeah.
Yeah, this shirt, obviously, for those that don't know, or for those that do know, obviously, this was director's cut. This is Penn's movie, and Penn Jillette, and he put the movie together. And I just found this shirt. I've probably worn it all of 2 times. I just didn't even realize it. I'm like, magic. Hey, that's good. So, great movie. If you guys get a chance to watch it, it was so strange. It was, but really good. It was a really cool premise, and all these people, the fans, got to be the producers of the show. So you donate money, you become part of it, and it was really good. Can I tell you a funny story about the premiere of this, though?
Bring it on, man. Let's do it. Yeah, hell yeah.
I'm sitting in the audience with Amazing Jonathan, and we're watching the premiere. Penn rented out, I think it was at the Palms. So it was the theater here in Las Vegas. They rented out the theater at the Palms, and I'm sitting there with Jonathan, and most everyone knows who Amazing Jonathan is, but if not, he's worse than I am at being sarcastic, because he'll go through a prank and just be, he'll play it until the end. He's brutal. So it's the end of the movie, and they're doing a Q&A, and so Penn sees Jonathan. Jonathan raises his hand and he goes, "Yeah, I just wanted to say 2 things. First of all, it was a great movie. It was a really, really good movie. But secondly, I don't know why Mike Hammer said he didn't like it." And so I'm sitting there, and there were all these people there, and so Penn has this dirty look on his face, and now instead of saying, or this look on his face, like, what the hell's going on? And so instead of saying, "No, no, no, I did like it," like most people would do, he's lying. I join in. I go, "No, I liked some of it." So Penn goes, "You two battle it out," and he got kind of pissed off, actually, and moved on. But it was pretty funny. And one other time, Jonathan did this, is brutal. He did this to me. So we're downtown, and we went out to grab a bite to eat, and there was an alley that I had to walk down on the way back. So he was going one way, I'm going the other, and he yells out, "Hey, hey, be careful with all that money in your pocket." I'm like, "Dude, what the hell?" I'm like, and it's dark, I'm by myself there, and I'm like, "Dude, shut up," and he's like, and I'm like, "Shut up," and he goes, "Yeah, yeah, just don't worry, it's not the worst neighborhood, but if anyone finds out you have all that money in your pocket," and he kept doing it. So I told him later, I go, "Dude, what the hell's wrong with you? What if I got mugged?" And he goes, "Oh, it would have been the best joke ever." I'm like, "What if I got murdered?" He goes, "Dude, that's even the best." He goes, "What a story." But he's funny. He's always doing pranks, but he's one of my favorites. He's great. I remember watching him early on, and it was at a comedy club he came through when I was in Chicago, and just loved him. It was great. But all I was like, I'm watching, and there's just blood all over the stage. I'm like, that is like, he didn't care about the comedy club, but I'm like, I can't be working in houses like this, or work for events. But
That's
he's
funny.
the best, though.
So when it comes to people that you've been around, obviously you're around a lot of local celebrities in the Vegas town, but also in general. I mean, you're out there as a performer. You get to hang out with a lot of people that a lot of us wish we could hang out with. Corey says over on Facebook, have you ever performed for someone that you got starstruck or nervous around? And maybe it wasn't even a celebrity, but have you like found someone that you go to perform for and you're like, whoa, like kind of throw you off a little bit?
You know what's strange about me? A lot. Uh, No, not really.
Okay.
You know what it is for me? It's not so much performing for. I get excited to think about seeing someone. The guy I loved the most was Don Rickles, and he was phenomenal. And so I'm sure everyone knows who he is by now, but he's the king of insult. And when I first met Don Rickles, it was backstage, and when I first met him, rather than being nervous, I played a joke on him, and I said something really sarcastic to him, which you don't know if he's going to go with it or not. I walked in there, and it was his wife was in the dressing room, was backstage, and his wife was there, and I had said I said something like I commented about I sent him flowers ahead of time. That's what it was. I sent flowers backstage. This is before I met him,
Mhm.
and they brought me backstage. I said, "Oh, this is for Mike Hammer," and I'm like, "Oh, this is great." I went backstage and I walked back there and I said, "Yeah, I figured you could use those flowers to help out your relationship, And I made some comment as to, I'm not sure how you got her, that kind of a comment. And he looks, all of us entertainers know you just don't know the way something's going to go. I always try and leave some space in my show for those moments to be able to interact and maybe go a different direction if the time, if the occasion arises.
Right on, right on. I'm checking out the comments too
Go
as
to
we go.
go to question 23.
23. Oh god, I can't count that, man. There's too many, Mike. There's too many. Keith actually wants to know something because behind you we see this beautiful piano. He wants to know: do you actually play it, or is it more for show, like a prop?
I do play piano, but I've got to play. I have not played in a while. I have to. I sat down the other day. I was screwing around with it. I actually I play by ear. So
Okay.
uh, basically, I'll listen to some song and I'll go ahead and play it that way. I have a good ear for music. I have a terrible voice for music. So wish I could sing. But no, I do play piano. I'll put something on eventually.
Okay.
One day I'll put a video up playing. But yeah.
Someone was also asking because especially now that we're all kind of not only are we stuck at home, but maybe in between shows. Tyler wants to know: are you using any other hobbies to fill your downtime? I know you were talking about doing some writing earlier, but what other things are you doing to kind of get
Yeah.
through this?
And first of all, hi Keith. I saw it was Keith afterward. Hey Tyler. They've known me since I lived in Chicago.
Oh, cool.
I do have other hobbies. Playing this piano. So this is one. Now I like to I actually like to work out. I know it sounds weird that would be a hobby. But I like to just do things like that. I like to study health and fitness,
Okay.
basically. It's a weird hobby, I know, but I do cook. I like to cook, and I don't like to clean up. Hate cleaning up. I like to study. You know what? I'm actually, man, I'm so just into reading about so much about magic. I love reading about magic. I've got so many books and I'm always reading with the method, and we kind of put it together. And he's like, "Look, I want you to do this on Penn and Teller." And I'm like, "Johnny, I can't do that one on Penn and Teller because they're going to know how it works." Cuz Johnny was working with them at the time. So I figured any method that I knew that he talked to me about, Penn and Teller also knew. But then I figured, you know what, I'll go on, put the blow up doll on live TV and have a good time with it. No, you can't have the blow up doll, John. So can you have it? That's great. And so I went on Penn and Teller, and it was a really great experience. They're amazing for what they've done for magicians, for magic
Yeah.
is incredible because they make everyone look good. And it's just they're so positive the way they speak to everybody, and it's just great. It's a great highlight reel for any magician that goes on there. But really it was a fun time. But the funny thing is, I knew they would know how the magic worked, so they said, and this is only like we were only a season or two in here in the states. So the only place I had seen it performed or that their show was in England. So I mean that was where they first shot it.
Mhm.
So I wasn't sure what the rules were exactly. So I went on and they're like, well, they at the end they tell you how the trick works, but in code. So, but I wasn't following them, and they said, oh, so stop us at any point when you think we've got you figured out. So before they even started, I go, stop. That's all. I think he missed the joke. I was done. But they went through and started guessing anyway, but now I wasn't following their cues. Like I became like a layman, So
Got it. Got it.
I was like, wait, what's going on? And then he looks at me and he goes, "We could tell you're getting a little nervous." I'm like, "No, I'm like, I'm confused."
Confused. Yeah.
So, but it was really fun. Yeah, it was like now I watch back and I'm like, God, it's obvious what they were trying to tell me, but I just didn't. At the time, I was like, It was fun though. They're great though.
Yeah. And they have done a lot of great for Magic too, from what you said. That's very true.
Yeah.
Um, Michael Trix is out here,
Oh, I
and
love him. How you doing, Michael?
he says, with so much
You
of your
mean the
show,
Rockin' Magic?
that's right, man, the rock and roll man. That's right. Hell yeah, oh yeah. I guess before I get to this specific question that just popped up here, he was asking before. I was going to get to this now. About how things are. Do you have any updates? Do you know anything that we don't know that you could share when it comes to performing again, or Vegas opening up, or obviously it's your show. You probably can't say everything, but any updates you can give us when it comes to things coming back around again, I guess, for performing.
Well, first of all, Michael, you're doing great stuff. He does some really fun stuff online too.
Yep.
He's like putting these shows out online, and I'm like, wow, And but they're really good. Honestly, we have no new information here as far as the regulations or when we're going to open as far as shows. But what we also don't know what the rules are going to be.
Mm-hmm.
We're assuming possibly social distancing, wearing masks, who knows, which is not good for anybody that does comedy. And for me, because I involve so many people from the audience, the way I choose somebody is I look for smiles, see who's laughing. But it doesn't necessarily have to be a laugh either. But I look for people that are smiling, and it's going to be hard to tell if they're wearing a
Yep.
mask. So I've actually I don't know what the rules are going to be. I've talked to some other entertainers in town, tried to find out what they were going to do as well. Um, there's Frederick De Silva, who's a mentalist in town, paranormal, great show. You should go see that when he opens again. But I was talking to him, and because he hands things out to people as an because I'm thinking, oh, mentalism, yeah, you could do that whole thing, but he hands things out, and he's thinking they might not let you hand things out.
Yeah.
So I've actually been rewriting my act over this entire break, and which is always scary because you know how it is as a magician. You go ahead, you write something, you're like, this is gonna kill. This is gonna be
Yep.
so good. I can't wait to do this. And then you get on stage, and there's that one thing you didn't plan on that happens, and the trick just sucks. And that's why you usually, and it could be something small. It's not even so much that you screwed up the move.
Yep.
It's just something just didn't click.
Sure.
And the problem with it is that normally you would put a brand new trick between two things that already work. So you'll have it, between something that already does really well and another thing that, is a strong trick. So you can kind of hide it. But, I'm trying to put, 3, 4, 5 new things in. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen.
Okay.
It's going to be.
None of us do, man.
We'll see how my improv. Yeah. So,
yeah.
but that it should still be. It'll be fun though.
Yeah.
I saw that they put up on there that I used sanitizer before all this started. I was wearing a glove in my show before this started, hand sanitizer. I'm actually such a germaphobe. Now I hide it on stage pretty well, but I'm such a germaphobe. But I'm not in panic over everything going on because I think I have a pretty good immune system. I just know something's wrong with me mentally that I'm like, oh, this is gross. I'm not as bad as Howie Mandel. But now I used to watch Howie Mandel before he was even a germaphobe. He used to shake hands and everything. So a lot of people don't know he was a comedian like years ago. So he's great.
Well, speaking of doing great things and great people here, I a mutual friend of ours, Mr. Chris Angel. You've teamed up and you've done some fun stuff with him. Michael Healy was asking, how did you get to perform with Chris Angel on Broadway? So why don't we jump into some of the touring that you've been doing with the one and only Mr.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I will respond to Michael Healy because we have the same initials.
That's right.
MH. So so Chris came to my show and he really liked my show. And then I had gone to see his show. Simone Marin took me to see his show. She does amazing things for Magic with the IBM, so she's fun. So she took me there, and I had met Chris early on years ago, but we never really hung out or anything. And I went to his show, and he's like, "Hey, I want to come to see your show. I've heard so many good things about it." I don't know who told him that, but so he came out to my show, and then we just started hanging out. But he said jokingly when we're out one night, he's like, "Hey, you should come on tour with us." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, okay, that'd be great." And I just brushed it off, and and then I get a call from Nick, who you also very good friends. His well, he does everything,
Yeah, he
so
does a lot
much
of
for
it.
Chris, but Nick Lang, yeah, does a lot. So uh, Nick starts calling me, asking me for my dates of availability, yeah. And so I'm like, whoa, okay, let me look, So we went on the road, but now I don't get nervous performing. But what happened was I'm thinking, I'm not sure if my material is going to work in Chris's show because I'm
Mm.
very kind of edgy. So I started just kind of looking over my material, what bits would work, what I thought would work, what wouldn't. And then I asked Chris, I said, "Hey, Chris, because I have a spot in the show itself. I do my act within his show. But I said, hey, Chris, why don't you let me warm up the audience so that way at least I could get a feel for the crowd before the show starts, and then they can get a feel for who I am because he does this thing before the show with a straight jacket. So he's like, yeah, that'd be great. So I went and did the pre-show, which warmed up the crowd, joked around with them all, and it went really well. And so from there on, I wasn't even concerned it wouldn't work. But they loved me for the pre-show, so they kept me in for that. So I did the pre-show, but then he said, "Hey, if this works out, maybe you'd want to go to Broadway with us. I'm not promising you anything, but I killed on the whole tour, and then they asked me to go to Broadway with them, and it was fun. So that's kind of how that
Cool.
happened. It's great though. It's great. It was really fun, to be honest with you. It was a good time. I don't like traveling
Okay.
like as much as most people do, but it was fun.
I bet it was. Yeah. I mean, being out there on the road, playing Broadway of all places. I mean, damn, dude, that's awesome. Wow.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
didn't even have a dream to play Broadway. There's people that were
Just
pissed
happened.
off. Like people I know in the acting community, this is like their dream with me. Hey, you want to play Broadway? Yeah, sure. So was a really good experience. The difference with Broadway, you have to it's a little bit different of a crowd because these are more theater goers. So I didn't change too much. Honestly, I still made fun of them.
um, we're speaking all this performing stuff, traveling, doing all that, and getting to know Chris through Vegas. And on a side note, a lot of people don't realize just how small this town really is. Everyone thinks it's like super big, and kind of everybody kind
No,
of
it's
knows
only
each other.
3 miles. It's
Yeah,
just 3 miles. That's
yeah, it's
it.
crazy.
Yeah, no, we all know each other.
Yeah,
It is crazy.
yeah,
I'll tell you, it's kind of funny because, but when you come here as a tourist, although the strip's not huge, the casinos are so big
yeah.
and there's all these people, and you don't realize there's a world outside of there. But the actual community that we have is very tiny.
Yep.
It's very tiny. Like we know all the people in in show business out here. I mean, in the magic world alone, there's maybe like 10 guys. It's just funny when you think of it as the entertainment capital of the world, and you've got, uh, you know, it's not as right. It's like you said, it's not as big as you think.
Yeah.
And like we all know each other. It's it's
Yep.
it's a fun town in that respect.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of fun. Speaking of fun things, this is fun being able to do this with you. And again, thank you for doing this. A
Oh
quick,
no, thank you for waking
yeah,
me
man,
up.
of course, of course. Um, and one other quick fun thing for the people watching, because I know a lot of you are still kind of stuck at home, starting to phase out there, getting back out. Everyone that's watching right now, if you want to win some free magic today, all you need to do is drop a like and comment in the comments there, and you have a chance to win one of our At the Table lectures absolutely free. It's a download, so we can send it to you today. Learn some magic. Mike's doing it right now. Get
Trying
to
to
it.
win, trying to win.
I'll announce the winner after this. I'll tag the winner so that you know, and we'll hook you up with some free stuff. So just want to throw that out there as we jump into our next question for this guy, Mr. Mike Hammer. All right, cool. This is a good one, and this is where we'll start to kind of slide out of here. Is Ace Cunnings would like to know, what's the best advice you could give to an up and coming magician? So you've got a Vegas show, you're living the dream. People are looking at you going, I want to do that when we actually can perform again. Um, yeah, what kind of advice would you give someone that wants to do this? Because everyone sees the glorious and the fun side of it, but they don't see the climb up that mountain to get there. So
Yeah, I'll give you the advice Steve Daly gave me when I first came to this town. Get out. That's what he told me. He told me, go back home. Now, you have to, honestly, if you don't love doing this, don't do it because it's difficult. But one of the things, I mean, it's difficult to, there's so many difficult times. I mean, it's ironic that we're in this time again,
yeah,
but there's so many periods of magic where you don't have a dime to your name. It's just crazy. But, but if you love it, it'll push you through. But one of my advice is work as much as possible. I did a lot of restaurant work. I would go in restaurants for that had kids, restaurants that had just mostly an adult clientele, but work, work, work. And I would be working restaurants 5 days a week at one point, 5 nights a week. And uh, I would just keep doing magic at different tables.
mm-hmm.
And it really teaches you to be sharp with like your interaction with people, and also you're honing your skills. At least that was for me with close-up magic, because you're not really going to get the stage time starting out. You're not going to be doing maybe 5 shows a week, 6 shows a week. So that's basically what I recommend. Well, it's difficult to get a restaurant early on too, but maybe if you can find some way to do in the afternoon in restaurants, just go up and, tell the manager, say, hey, I'll work for tips, but I just want an opportunity to work here. And you could probably make enough money in tips initially if you're younger doing this. So, but, you know, really you want to be true to yourself too. Find what works for you. Don't copy what you see another guy do on video. I learned from books, so I had to formulate my own personality and develop my own personality. Where a lot of times a lot of these guys watch these video guys or guys on video guys, these guys performing on video, and they try and emulate that, But if you're gonna try and be David Blaine, you're probably not gonna come off really like yourself.
Yep.
So it's more like be yourself. I would think is my advice in a nutshell.
Sure.
A big nutshell. That was a big answer. Was that a
Well,
big long answer?
well, it's a big question too, though. Let's be honest. I mean, that's the big one. Everyone wants to know, how to do it, but there really is no simple answer. So, I appreciate you
No,
sharing.
you got to find your own way. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
But I think it all starts from an interest. I mean, you have to love this job, don't you think? I mean,
Yeah.
you just have to want it because it's just so hard. And then there's so many shows. You'll do a show and you're like, oh man, that sucked. And you're like, yeah, and you want to just quit. There's shows that are just painful, and I've had plenty of those. And you just have to. There you go. You know what, Brett? Brett, that is true. You find your own voice. I couldn't think of that at the time, but that's what it is. That's what I was trying to say with your own personality. Brett's actually he's worked with tons of comedians, uh, running a comedy club in the South, Kentucky. He knows Matt King and Lance Burton and all those people. But it is, you got to find your own voice, and you have to uh, stick to what you think works for you. My problem was I'm so sarcastic and my humor so dry that I do pick on the audience. That when I was doing it early on, you know, when you're picking on people and you're 13 years old, you could be a dick. You know what I mean? So you kind of have to find that fine line between what works and what doesn't. And it took me years to get to that point. Hey, Jeannie, I'm looking at your Facebook people. They're my Facebook people too. So, it took years to get it. You don't have to be as edgy as what I did though. I really went a really difficult route because I'd be doing colleges and I'd be killing it because I could make fun of the guys, but then I get that a lot. I was wondering too, why are people coming back? I don't get this. But I think it's for fun. Matt King has sent people to my show, and people afterward will come up, oh, Max sent me to your show. And I go, oh, that'll probably be the last time you talk to him now, that kind of thing. So, and of course, he's got a fantastic show here. It's great. I always recommend him because he's so non-offensive. You know what I mean? Like he's just he's such a strong performer, so polished. You know, I don't know anybody that hasn't loved his show, so it's good record. And then they come to my show, you suck, sir. No, uh, yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
I love performing. So
Well, let's get to one last question as we start to get out of here. We're hitting the almost 40-minute mark. John Shackelford will give him the last question because you're talking about having fun on stage. However, his question is, do you have like a most embarrassing moment on stage?
John, uh, honestly, it's not so much an embarrassing moment,
Okay.
uh, because, because a lot of times for me, uh, I cover things up really well. So I try and prevent it from being embarrassing.
Okay.
However, there was one time I was doing a routine with staple guns, and they're loaded staple guns. And I had been telling the audience for, boy, I was probably doing this for a couple of years, but I had always been telling the audience, I would hold a staple gun up to my neck, and I was telling them, oh, there's a carotid artery on the side of your neck here, and if you pierce that artery, you could bleed to death. So I didn't assume this is true, but I've been telling them this the whole time. So then one day I'm doing the show, and I kind of miscalculated something, and I shot the staple in the side of my neck.
Oh God.
Yeah. So the first thing that goes through my head is, oh my God, what if that story is true? What if I die? Like what if I bleed to death?
Oh God.
And for a minute, thanks, Ariel. And so I had that, the state. So I just pulled it out because I'm thinking, am I going to die when I pull it
Oh
out?
my
Like a
God.
knife wound, Don't pull the knife out. It's stopping the blood from coming out. So, but I pulled it out. Nothing happened. Yeah. And I'm laughing. But here's the worst part. The worst part is because I'm joking around the whole show, the audience thought I was joking.
Of course.
Like
Yeah.
they weren't even worried. They're thinking I'm joking. I'm like, oh my God, this is ridiculous. I'm like, but I played it off and I just kept going on. I go, well, I guess we found the one with I guess that was real. But, so that was with staple guns. And then you have to go and do it immediately. You need to do the trick again because otherwise you'll never do it again. You'll be afraid for trying. You know what I'm saying? You,
Oh
you
God.
don't want to be afraid to not try that again. So instead, like an idiot, you go back and do it again. But so that was an interesting moment, though. Yeah.
Got a little love there again. Excuse me, from Michael Tricks, giving you some love, talking about how great you are, which we all know that by now. Oh
Oh,
yes.
he's just probably what is this guy not the nicest guy in Magic, right? Is he not the nicest guy?
Um, on the way out of here, I want to give you a chance to plug. I know that we have some of your friends watching over on your page. Nigel wants to know though, where can we follow Mike on the social? So if they want to keep up with you after this or see you in Vegas, how can they do that, Mike?
Sure. Well, you can not see me in Vegas because I'm not
Right now,
working.
for right now.
No, we'll be back eventually. We'll be back. I'm official hammer on is it official hammer? Yeah, official hammer. Is that what it is on my Facebook page? Boy, I don't even know. So I think I'm official hammer on my. Is that crazy? I guess that's what I am. I don't even know. Is that crazy? Okay, so it's Mike Hammer Show. It's Mike Hammer Show on Facebook. That was pretty bad. And it's official Hammer on everything else. So it's official Hammer and Mike Hammer Show on Facebook and or MikeHammerShow.com.
Okay.
Isn't it funny how we forget this stuff because I haven't been talking to people in so
Well,
long,
you're also out there, usually you're out there the one just performing it and you've got other people promoting it. So, I mean,
It's me.
you know.
I'm doing it all.
Um, quick question. Do you still do the staple gun routine? Someone wanted to know that.
I don't,
You don't.
but only because I've done some other things. Maybe I should put that back in though. No, I don't. I haven't done that in a long time. There's a lot. I haven't done the blow up doll in probably, I hate to say, like 10 months, 11 months. Yeah, I haven't done that in a while either.
Okay.
And now I'm trying to put some new things in completely.
Sure.
So, you guys, when we open up, if you want to see a train wreck, come to my show the first night. That's gonna be awesome. No, it'll be fun. Actually, that can be my embarrassing question answer right there. So. No, it'll be good. I'm actually working on some cool stuff, so
Great.
I think it's going to be a good time.
Cool. Well, I've had a great time here, and I can't wait to see you when you are back in action. I definitely got to head down to the Four Queens and check you out. And you guys should definitely do the
Oh,
same.
thank you.
Yeah, man, of course. It's been great getting to know you here the last few weeks. You know, we
Thank you, Murphy's Magic. And, you guys are awesome over there. What you guys do is really, really, really nice. This is great that you guys do this for magicians, and uh, because I think they need this during this time, especially not being able to perform. And I know
yeah.
you're hosting you host some other things as well that it's really been a good outlet. So we don't, murder each other, and we get to express ourselves. No, you're doing some great things. So thanks for asking me.
Yeah, man, we appreciate it, and definitely the time. You know, the time is always important, and I do definitely want to keep stay connected to you after this. So don't be a stranger, Mike. You know, we'll chat with each other a bit, and maybe,
No,
yeah,
we'll chat.
yeah, man, sounds good. Well,
Thank you, Luke. I appreciate it.
from all of us to you, I've got a round of applause coming in. Thank you to Mike Hammer for hanging out today, and we are going to go ahead and get
Oh,
out of here. Again, if you guys haven't yet, drop a like on this post and put a comment in there, and I'll pick a winner in about an hour for a free at the table lecture download from anyone that you want. It's that easy. So make sure to do that. Mike's doing it right now once again. And with that said, we are both going to get out of here. From me and Mike Hammer, take care, guys. Stay safe, and we will catch
thanks,
you
Luke.
next time. See you guys.